All right, this is volume 2 of the wokest things in sports media in the last 3 to 4 to 5 years. Hit the likes, hit the comments, give us your thoughts on this, and let's get ready to get woke again.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's no way around this. This is white privilege. This does not happen for a black man. No experience whatsoever on any level as a coach. And you get the Brooklyn Nets job where we're making all of this noise about social justice. I got news for y'all, Molly and Max. I have said this to people on numerous occasions right here on this show. Yes, that was the tipping point. George Floyd's killing, his murder, violence against black men who are unarmed. All of that stuff is true. But the frustration, the protest, and all of these things that you've seen in the streets throughout America, emanating from the black community and disenfranchised communities, is that proverbial glass ceiling. And the fact that it breeds a level of frustration that we can't even put in the words sometimes. You just want to scream to the high heavens. How the hell does this always happen for somebody else other than us? Why is it that we have to be twice as good to get half as much? Why is it that no matter what we do and how hard we work and how we go through the process and the terrain of everything, somehow, some way, there's another excuse to ignore that criteria, to ignore those credentials? And
Floyd ultimately was murdered by Derek Chauvin, the cop. And you saw people rioting and protesting in the streets. It wasn't just about him. It was about the symbolism of what transpired, because black people have repeatedly felt like we have the proverbial knee on our neck. We constantly have to scratch and claw our way. And when we see someone of a different ilk, of a different ethnicity, getting opportunities we know we would never get, that's where the word white privilege comes from. The words white privilege come from.
Man, Stephen A. Smith done brought George Floyd into Steve Nash getting the Brooklyn Nets job. He done brought George Floyd into Tim Tebow getting a tryout with the Jacksonville Jaguars as a tight end. Woo! Stephen is reaching deep. I wonder if Stephen's even aware. Bill Russell got to coach the Boston Celtics without having any head coaching experience or any coaching experience. He was actually a player coach of the championship dominant Boston Celtics. But the rules don't apply to Bill Russell. He's a saint, he's a god, no one can question anything. And he did a great job. But that's some athletic privilege and some championship privilege that Bill Russell got years and years ago when he got to coach the Celtics. As it relates to, Tim Tebow, my God, man, it was a tryout at tight end and he got cut. Stephen A. Smith is constantly trying to elevate his street cred and black cred by taking these ridiculous woke positions, and he was at his worst when he was partnered with Max Kellerman. He's still bad, but he was at his worst when he was partnered with Max Kellerman. Next.
The game of football. I fell in love with the game of football, Sam, at 6 years old. And I get emotional talking about it because of situations like this. My civil rights were kind of messed with in high school over the color of my skin. And now being able to play 14 years in the National Football League, to have something like this of a leader. We talk about leadership. We give guys these big contracts because they want to be able to lead 70 men, coaches, equipment staff, and managers to the number one goal, and that's to win the championship. And for us to be moving back and not forward in 21st century, like I said, man, National Football League, this hurts me. The clock is ticking, man. I'm sorry.
No.
I remember this when it happened, and this may be the wokest thing I've ever seen on ESPN or anywhere in the sports media. Randy Moss over John Gruden's email about DeMaurice Smith's big lips. NFL, I'm hurting, man. This hurts me. DeMar Smith's got big lips, and John Gruden sent an email about it. NFL, do something. Can we get him a lip reduction surgery or something? NFL. Next.
I'm not trying to put a blemish on BYU. I'm saying BYU, you did it by allowing this to happen and not addressing it expeditiously, not addressing it with the level of quickness and speed that you should have addressed it with. So now instead of looking at that fool, that racist bastard that was spewing that nonsense towards Miss Rachel Richardson, instead of looking at that person, now we're looking at the university all
looking at you.
of a dereliction of duty that you put forth because you couldn't find it in yourself to address it immediately. Now we ask the question, well, why? What took you so long? What was the hesitancy about? Were you fearful of a reprimand? Were you fearful of a backlash if you had decided as a human being to do the right thing and protect this young lady and to make sure she wasn't subjected to this for a longer period of time? What was going on? What was the hesitancy about? And since we're talking about BYU, now we are looking at every university of quote unquote.
Every university, yep.
We're looking at everybody.
Can I go ahead and connect the dots here? Because y'all remember when J.J. Reddick called out Kendrick Perkins and talked about First Take and false narratives and creating these realities that don't exist. And he said it very politely about First Take. Let me connect the dots here. Where did J.J. Reddick play college basketball? Duke. Where did this little black girl, Rachel Richardson, play volleyball at? Duke. And when this got exposed and investigated, and BYU, there was no racial incident. No one said a word to Rachel Richardson. Her godmother put a battery in her back and had her do this nonsense. And Stephen A. and First Take and Marcus Spears, I'm gonna leave Michael Irvin out of it. I love Mike, not that I got problems with these other two guys, but again, they're just race baiting. And J.J. Reddick, when he went off on Kendrick Perkins and brought up, like, this is what First Take does, he was referring to Rachel Richardson and what the Duke volleyball player did to her. I hate to put that on JJ. Maybe he'll come out and say, nah, I wasn't referring to that, but pretty interesting that the guy would talk about Kendrick Perkins and false racial narratives on First Take, and First Take pulled this BS on BYU, and it was later proven it didn't happen. First Take didn't apologize for that. Stephen A. really wants to be the wokest person in sports media. He's getting close. Next.
You know, hate, you know, in America, especially for African American, is living every day. And I think back to Emmett Till's mom, actually. It's kind of one of the first things I thought of. And the reason that she had an open casket is because she wanted to show the world what her son went through as far as a hate crime and, you know, being black in America. So it's like it doesn't, no matter how much money you have, no matter how famous you are, no matter how many people admire you, you know, being black in America it's tough.
Stop the fight, stop the fight, stop the fight. It's over. LeBron wins in a knockout. You cannot get woker. You cannot get woker than comparing graffiti on a garage door to Emmett Till's murder in 1955. How can you get woker than that? Not only graffiti on a garage door, graffiti that allegedly was removed from the garage door before police were allowed to see it and investigate it. So when LeBron, who at that time was playing in the NBA Finals, and someone called and told him, oh, they spray painted the N-word on your garage door in Brentwood in your $20 million mansion in Brentwood, his first thoughts, according to him, was Emmett Till's mama. The graffiti that he never personally saw, only heard about, the graffiti that his servants removed before police could get there and investigate, reminded him of Emmett Till's mama, whose 14-year-old son was brutally beaten and killed in Mississippi in 1955. Good Lord. Sweet baby Jesus. Can you get any woker than that? This man did this with a straight face, and the media ate it up and allowed it. No pushback. This man should be a laughingstock for this. Run out of the black community for this. Run out of any community for this. Right now, that's got to be the wokest moment in the history of sports. Next.
Racing is the great equalizer.
In a 500-lap race at Talladega Superspeedway, it was this unforgettable stretch before the green flag dropped.
The entire garage area has rallied around Bubba Wallace.
That will likely serve as an enduring image for generations of NASCAR fans.
All in all, we won today. The pre-race deal was probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to witness in my life.
Look, when this racial grifting and racial wokeness gets so good that NASCAR can't pass it up, that's when you know it's jumped the shark. NASCAR, their little unity walk, this was all over the garage door pull rope that allegedly was a noose. Everybody had to circle around Bubba Wallace and walk with him to his car and walk behind his car and show, we love you, Bubba. Bubba, boy, these African Americans, I mean, my God, how much time do they spend looking for that white love and that white daddy to come give them a belly rub and a pat on the head? Bubba felt so good. That was so unifying. NASCAR grifting on this racial wokeness. Too bad LeBron outwoked him, or this would be a candidate. Next. It's just an unbelievable moment. Doesn't that remind you of Hank Aaron hitting 714 or 715 and rounding the bases? Doesn't that remind you of that? I mean, unbelievable. Just what a moment, an unforgettable moment. Whatever happened to Kari Lloyd? Wasn't she going to kick in the NFL? Her and Sarah Fuller were both headed to the NFL. I'll never forget where I was when Kari Lloyd kicked a field goal in practice with a 10-yard running start. She kicked a 45-yard field goal and was headed to the NFL. And Sarah Fuller changed SEC football for life with that 20-yard kickoff. It's just an amazing moment in woke sports. I hope you remember exactly where you were when Sarah Fuller kicked that ball 15, 20 yards in the air. It's amazing. Next.
Ladies and gentlemen, the courageous, the stunning Caitlyn Jenner.
As a group, as athletes, how you conduct your lives, what you say, what you do, is absorbed and observed by millions of people, especially young people. I know I'm clear with my responsibility in going forward to tell my story the right way, for me, to keep learning, to do whatever I can to reshape the landscape of how trans issues are viewed, how trans people are treated, and then more broadly, to promote a very simple idea: accepting people for who they are.
Look, I know a lot of people are bothered and mock that award for Caitlyn Jenner. What he did, though, I absolutely respect. He kept his penis, and he's still banging women. I respect that. He's pulled this whole transgender thing off, gotten all this popularity, become the toast of America, gets all this Courage Award, kept his penis, and is still banging women. Hats off to you, Bruce Jenner. Great job. Not gonna get the wokest, though. Not gonna top LeBron. LeBron showed more courage. Next. We end with an oldie but a goodie. We go back to almost the mothership of the motherland of wokeness, the Ferguson hands up, don't shoot myth that Michael Brown was just walking home from the library after reading books to kids and threw his hands up and was shot by Darren Wilson and screamed. His last words were, hands up, don't shoot. And the St. Louis Rams went for it, and they ran around, hands up, don't shoot. That was one of the original woke moments, and a great woke moment, a great moment in woke history. But right now, I'm going with LeBron James and comparing himself to Emmett Till's mother as the wokest moment in sports. You tell us what we missed. Hop in the comments. Maybe in Volume 1 or Volume 2, we left out a woke moment that we should have covered, but hit the likes, and hopefully we'll see you again with Wokest Moments in Sports, Volume 3. Maybe I would love for it to be another 5 years, but it'll probably just be 5 weeks and we'll have another one out. Like what you saw? Hit that like button, subscribe, and check out the full episode by clicking the link below.